Good morning to you all. I welcome all the participants in the webinar on implications of COVID-19 lockdown on trade and commerce, which is jointly organized by Mizoram University and Sikkim University. Uh, we are now in our inaugural session. Before I start with a small request to all the participants, we have muted all the participants as of now. After this, you can unmute if anyone is going to speak. And if anyone is having any query, please post it in question and answer session, Q&A session. And those questions will be posted to the speakers after his presentation is over. So I come back to my program. In our inaugural sessions, I am feeling proud to introduce, we are having three renowned persons in our panel. Professor P. Subba Rao, he is Honorable Vice Chancellor of Millennium University, Republic of Malawi. Professor Avinash Khare sir, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Sikkim University, and Professor K.R.S. Sambasiva Rao, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Mizoram University. I also introduce my friend, my colleague, my co-host of the program, Dr. A.N. Shankar from Sikkim University, Department of Commerce, Sikkim University. I will not take much time in introduction because the persons of eminence are there in the panel and almost everyone knows all of these people very well. Everyone knows very well about Professor Subba Rao. We have read, all of us must have read the books written by him. He has written many books. He is having an experience of more than 40 years of teaching, not only in India, but abroad also. As of now, he is Vice Chancellor of Millennium University in Republic of Malawi. We are having Professor Avinash Khare sir, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Sikkim University. His field of specialization is plasma physics and nuclear energy. He has published more than 160 papers. I would like to request him to give to address the gathering. Sir, Professor Khare sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Very clear.
Thank you. Good morning to all of you. Professor Subba Rao, Vice Chancellor of Millennium University, Malawi. Professor KRS Sambasiva Rao, Vice Chancellor, Mizoram University, Angel, and my colleague. Esteemed Chairperson of respective sessions, Dean of Schools, Heads of the Department, and dear participants. When Dr. Shankar talked to me about this participating in the webinar of this topic, I was extremely happy because it's very topical and it's very timely. I'm very happy to participate in the inaugural function of the webinar on implication of COVID-19 lockdown on trade and commerce. Ladies and gentlemen, the pandemic-led lockdown by the governments across the globe caused havoc in every aspect of human life. To begin with, academic institutions are forced to shift to cyberspace for routine functioning. Due to physical distancing measures, internet platforms like Google Classroom, Microsoft Teams, Zoom, Hangouts, WebEx, WhatsApp, etc. have gained twice their normal in terms of users, ranging between 3 to 4 million across the service providers, especially Zoom 4 million and Google 3 million. That's a big number. With increase in web traffic, the supply chain of e-commerce has revamped to meet the spur in demand. Amidst the business transformation in commensuration with lockdown, for painstaking exodus of migrant laborers was challenged to future operations of MSMEs. The government of India has responded to economic catastrophe by launching Atmanirbhar scheme with an allocation of rupees 20.97 lakh crores. That's a huge sum. Unprecedented loss is caused to micro, small, and medium enterprises, and NBFCs, for which 14.69 crores have been disbursed in the form of soft loan. Ladies and gentlemen, capital markets, banking, tourism, functional areas of business and its management have been affected tremendously, demanding a new normal for survival and growth. The period witnessed unprecedented manifestation of altruism by the CEOs to support various communities, and we have already seen examples of that, many examples where people have come forward to help the people who were in need, who were destitute. By exploring existing production capacity for manufacturing and for the equipment for treating and ailing. So these measures were used. Entrepreneurial interventions to manufacture COVID-19 testing kits, hand sanitizers, masks, and the PPE kits have received due attention from the community. Product promotion in case of Dettol has ignored the rules of cutthroat competition during shortage of generic products. Because earlier there was a big competition between Dettol and other manufacturers in the field. There was a cutthroat competition that has all gone because of this pandemic. The demands of biophysical environment for business are reiterated by the way of clarity of sky. Suddenly the pollution has decreased, as you can see in Delhi, it has decreased tremendously. Movement of fauna over the otherwise busy sites with polluted sky. In this backdrop, it is important for academicians and researchers to brainstorm and identify area of potential research. As one can see, this webinar on this topic is very topical. It is handling and it's going to handle schemes. It is going to there will be discussions in this seminar about schemes and about the ways to handle this pandemic and how the lockdown has affected trade and commerce. So I wish all the participants a very good, very productive discussions and very productive exchange of ideas. I wish them all the best. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir, for a very good speech. To start with, thanks a lot for joining us. Thanks a lot for giving your wishes to us. Thank you, sir. Now I would like to request Professor P. Subbarao, sir, to deliver his keynote address. He needs no introduction. He is a very well-known personality in the field of commerce management and human resource management. He has written about 25 books, more than 100 papers he is having. He is a recipient of highest civilian award from the government of Papua New Guinea. So I request him to please join us. But before that, one more thing. He was about to travel today during this period only, but I would like to say a big thanks to him that he changed his travel plan to join this session. Thank you, sir. Please.
Welcome, Subbarao sir. Namaste. Subbarao sir, namaste, namaste. After a long time, sir.
Are you able to listen to me? Good.
Yes.
Okay, I start. Thank you very much. Vice Chancellor, Sikkim University, Vice Chancellor, Mizoram University, organizers of webinar, participants, panelists, everyone, good morning, everyone. In the past two, we have the recessions. We have the impact of this recession, all those on the trade, commerce, and so on and so forth. But this current one is coupled with information technology as well as globalization, is causing larger damage, unlike the past pandemics. Those the past ones are limited to a particular country or a particular region. But now when we globalized, the globalization now it is multifarious. It's not linked just to trade and commerce. It's linked to everything in the nation, society, country, economy, and so on and so forth. If we go back during 90s and 60s, 1960s and 70s, we used to mainly speak about the self-dependency. At the time, we used to depend on agriculture sector, and mostly 80% of the population used to depend on agriculture. So the rate of unemployment, those things we didn't speak much because we had the problem of the food itself. But thanks to the scientists, the green revolution, white revolution, blue revolution, and so on and so forth, they solved the problems. And then we shifted to self-reliance in 1980s. When we thought of self-reliance, we developed the small micro industry as well as the domestic industries. Suddenly, the invention of the globalization, it is not the first time, it is the second or the third globalization. Coupled with the self-interest of the advanced nations, they pushed the globalization and we were forced to welcome it. And after welcoming it, we have become one of the major beneficiaries of the globalization. But here, we have become one of the major beneficiaries, not the major the major beneficiary. So that is the problem for India. And again, when you see the economy and the sectors, the first one is primary, second one is industry, third one is service, the fourth one is knowledge. We shifted or jumped rather from primary to the service sector and then to the knowledge sector. Because of the level of education in India, rather than concentrating on the manufacturing, we jumped to the third and the fourth levels. The consequences of this is employment problem. If you take the China, they concentrate on the manufacturing sector. It is even today the hub of the manufacturing of the entire globe. But the pandemic is making a little bit shaking. But once the COVID problem is solved, we don't know what will happen. But the problem for our country is non-concentration on manufacturing sector. And here, the current problem is not only just economic, even it includes the health. That means we have the health recession also, not only the economic recession. Mostly the business and management, teachers and the students, we speak of the economic recession, impact of the economic recession on trade, commerce, and so on and so forth. But now we are thinking of beyond our trade and commerce and beyond the economic recession. This recession is not just economic recession, it is the global recession relating to the health sector also. So here, as I told you, we are strong in service sector, but we are weak in manufacturing sector. Unless we develop our manufacturing sector also, we cannot be self-reliant. If you see the global trade, India is not the top, one among the top countries in export or even in imports or even in the positive balance of payments. It was US, the top exporter, top importer, as well as the top one in the positive balance of payments. But that share was taken away by China. After 2012, China is the largest exporter in the globe, largest importer in the globe, and as well as largest country with the positive balance of payments. That's why it is able to dictate the terms throughout the globe. Wherever you go, you see the Chinese products. Wherever you go, you see the Chinese. And where the people, the local people cannot go, even in Africa, they cannot go to the places Chinese go. Where the local people cannot do the trading, these people do. That means the special character of working in any environment under any circumstances. That means the people of China, they do it. So therefore, they grabbed the economy of the total, almost total world. It pushed back the US and all other countries. And we have been suffering from the negative balance of payments. And our export of human resources is a blessing in disguise. It is compensating the negative balance in the balance of trade, but ultimately the balance of payments position, even though it is negative. So China, it's because of exporting the goods, not the services. They are able to export the goods because they are very strong in manufacturing sector, the hardworking nature of the people. and working under any circumstances. So here, the COVID is making everyone in the country, including the Prime Minister, to think of self-reliance. That is what we used to discuss and what we used to teach and learn during the 1980s. The teachers used to teach about the self-reliance, how to be reliant, what to do, development of the micro, small industry, which is suitable to the India and so on and so forth. But the globalization killed almost all the micro, small industry, but still we are striving to recoup them. But anyhow, the COVID has made another challenge. That another challenge is rethinking of globalization. Is the globalization is viable for everyone, or should we think of self-reliance? That means these are the two schools of thought. One school of thought is self-reliance, and another school of thought is the globalization. If we have the mix, like in some sectors, some areas, globalization, and some areas, self-reliance, and where we can have the shock absorbers as well as the risk mitigation, so that in future, when we have such a type of the problem like the COVID-19 current problem, so we can have the shock absorber for the entire Indian economy. And you see the Chinese, the current one, that is the totality of the influencing the totality of the entire world. Now the entire world is also rethinking of the self-reliance rather than going global, rather than going completely the globalization. So here, the human resource of ours, though it is exportable to many countries, though it is compensating to a larger extent the negative balance in the balance of payments, it is sometimes in a problem. That problem is the problem like in the case of the pandemic. So if we develop our own manufacturing sector, then we need not depend on imports. We need not face the problems of the negative balances in the trade or the balance of payments. And at the same time, our dependency on other countries would also reduce. So therefore, what I suggest to the participants of the seminar to think what type of the strategies, not only the service sector and the knowledge sector, but also the manufacturing sector in India. There, what is the role of the academic institutions? Are we really committed to develop the quality education? Or if we see the scenario, or are we liberal in awarding the degrees compared to the 1970s and 80s scenarios? And what is our role in developing competent as well as highly skilled human resources? So think from the perspective also, and so that the manufacturing sector in India, that means where our people can be more fit to the manufacturing, because we are losing a lot of foreign currency in importing rather than just exporting just only in the IT. That is not the significant one in this process. So as the academic institutions think about what kind of human resources we have to develop that will fit the strategy of the self-reliance, and to make the trade and commerce stabilize more or less in the same scenario, even under such situations of the COVID or any type of the economic recessions like 2007, 2008, and so on and so forth. So those countries which are strong in manufacturing sector, they provide employment to the huge population. Don't forget it. IT cannot provide the employment to the huge. Similarly, services sector also, it provides to some extent, but there is no backup. In the sense, whenever there is the recession, like current or even economic recession, services sector is the first one to be affected. But it is not the manufacturing, it is not the agriculture sector initially, because all of us, we need the basic, that is the food. So therefore, agrarian economy never be affected. And the second one is the manufacturing sector, which has the shock absorbers from the economic recession or any kind of the recession. The services sector as well as the knowledge sector, they are the first ones to be affected by the recessions. So my suggestion to the participants is to think about the future, not just the COVID, any kind of the recessions that would cause in the future. And how we should develop the human resources. These human resources which would fit the manufacturing sector of the country, not only the manufacturing sector in a balanced way, economy, primary, manufacturing, service, and the knowledge. There should be the balance of the human resources in all these sectors. Therefore, we need not depend on the foreign economies, and we won't have this type of the problem of importing the diseases. When we stop importing the people, importing the goods and services from other countries, invariably we can also import this type of the diseases also from other country. You see, now the China is the largest exporter, not only goods, services, but also the diseases throughout the world. So to have such, to have the risk aversion for, or the from such type of the things, we should have the balanced approach of developing the human resources as well as developing the all these four sectors of the economy in a due process. So with this, I thank the participants, I thank the organizers, I thank the vice chancellors of both the universities, and especially I thank Professor Jyoti Kumar, who has given the opportunity to me to deliver the keynote address in this webinar. Thank you once again. Thank you.
Excellent. Excellent, sir. Excellent. Excellent.
Thank you, sir. It was really very, very interesting. You have touched upon almost all sector of the economy. Everything you have touched upon. You talked about Atmanirbhar Bharat. What is the trending word now? In a way, we are going for Atmanirbhar. The way from 18th of March, all universities are closed down, but we started teaching online. So this pandemic has taught us a lot of things. We used to conduct seminars with some 20, 30, 35 participants only. But I would like to inform all the participants that we got more than 890 registrations for the seminar. This is actually, we started organizing such programs under Mizoram University from 1st of May. 50 days back we started, and we have already organized 57 programs. This is 58th program. So almost every day we are doing it. In a way, we are going towards Atmanirbhar, at least in teaching. Sir also talked about balancing of HR in all sectors of economy. That is really very, very important. Sometimes I feel agriculture is very much ignored in our economy. We should focus on agriculture because that is the basic need. So that is rightly said by Professor Subbarao that we have to think about balance of HR in all sectors of economy, not only IT sector, which is too much focus is there on IT industry. He talked about role of educational institutions. He talked or focused on manufacturing sector. You mentioned that we should strengthen the manufacturing sector in our country so that our reliance on imports will reduce and we may start exporting. Thank you, sir, for your inputs, for for putting the ball rolling. We will keep on discussing on the topics you have given to us, the idea you have given to us for the whole of this day today. Thank you, sir, for joining us. Thanks a lot, sir.
Okay, thank you once again. Thank you, one and all.
Yes.
Bye.
Sir, now I would like to request Professor KRS Samasiva Rao, sir, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Mizoram University, to make an address. But before that, I would like to say a big thanks to him that, as I told, it is 58th program under webinar in last 50 days, and whole credit goes to our Vice Chancellor, Professor Rao. He keeps on focusing us. He keeps on telling us that you have to do this or that for academic excellence only. The day our university was under lockdown, he keeps on sending us messages to be prepared for online teaching, for continuous remain in touch with the students. So we are doing those things under his leadership. He is well known for his contribution in the field of academics. He is having more than 240 publications. He has authored 25 books in different capacities. His total citations on Scopus is more than 4,000. His H index is 36. So I would like to request him to give an address to the participants of the seminar, sir. Sir.
Thank you, Professor Bhartendra. Respected Honorable Vice Chancellor of Sikkim University, Professor Avinash Ji, Namaskar. Professor Subbarao Garu, and the other speakers from Prasen Ji from Manipur University, and Shrotriya from Delhi University, and other speakers, and Surya Prakash Ji, and many other participants from Sikkim University, the Shankar, and other faculty members and participants. It is a great occasion for me. I'm supposed to come to Sikkim University in the month of April.
Please, you are most welcome, sir.
Actually, I was invited by Commerce Department for a seminar.
Yes.
In the last minute, it was cancelled, sir, actually. Otherwise, on April 8th, 9th, 10th, I fixed my journey to Sikkim University. I missed that because...
You have, Professor Rao, you have a standing invitation from me. You come whenever you are free.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. I want to see you in your university, but somehow I missed it, sir, actually.
Next time, please plan.
Sir, sure, sir. Certainly, I will come, sir. Actually, I'm not a person to be very familiar with this particular topic of the seminar, but my experiences in Northeast and also in various day-to-day life of this during this pandemic situation, I just wanted to mention some of you and some of the things, how it is going to be taken up and how it has to be given priority for solving certain issues in trade and commerce of the country. As rightly pointed out by our keynote speaker, in various issues he mentioned about the present scenario and also what are the things to be and how we need to have a self-reliance India. One particular example, always we say that during this pandemic situation, when everything is under lockdown for almost three months, and India, when lockdown started, there was no even masks available, sufficient masks available in the country. There are no PPE equipment are available. There are no ventilators. There are no sanitizers, and every state in the country is suffering such a way. And due to the hardship of our Honorable Prime Minister and all collective approach, now India has been the best example for self-reliance India. Has made all the masks, even Mizoram, the small state of a country, we don't have sufficient masks, we don't have sanitizers, we don't have any PPE equipment. Now Mizoram has been self-sufficient to have its own masks. Now even our Mizoram University, under the leadership of Rama Ramaswamy, we have established a BWork program, and all the students of BWork program, they are now manufacturing masks, 2-layered masks, 3-layered masks in a sufficient number under the leadership of Rama Ramaswamy. A whole Mizoram now they are supplying, and already they have supplied more than 15,000, 20,000 masks in the last 1 week to 2 weeks. And our DSD incubator, Dr. Under Madina, both Rama and Madina belongs to Commerce Department of our Mizoram University. They have developed own masks and own PPE kits, and they are supplying to whole Mizoram. And several household women in Mizoram, they are started doing masks and PPE equipment. Now we don't need to get any kind of masks, PPE equipment from outside. Now Mizoram is a self-sufficient state for all this. India has now proved itself that it is a self-reliant country, and all those things are now available. PPE equipment are available, and DRDO has started manufacturing fully covered, fully protected PPE equipment, sanitizers and ventilators. Everything India is now able to do. I have been listening to our honorable keynote speaker. India is lagging behind in the manufacturing sector, but I had a feeling that manufacturing sector is being suffered in the countries like China now. You understand, and even though they are leaders of the manufacturing sector, China has recovered from the pandemic situation very early. and it has been under observation by many countries. But China, actually, the drop in the production of the Chinese technology, Chinese country is so much, more than 40% of the production technology has been dropped now. Though it is recovered very well, China was in a very severe condition now because all the orders were cancelled, and all the products which are being produced in China are now not being exported to any country in the
మీటింగ్
world.
అయిపోయిందండి మీరు రిసెప్షన్ వాళ్ళతో మాట్లాడారా ఎక్స్టెన్షన్కి
And it is also that all the
మళ్ళీ వాళ్ళు
people,
వచ్చారు కాల్ చేయని అంటారు
because of various reasons, they are now stopping the products which are coming from the China. Now China, the manufacturing leaders of the world, now going down in where even though they fall in the economics of the country. If you just see the expected, the large economics, actually India's China economic production or economic stage has fallen little bit in the last 3 months. It is very limited. It is only 1.5% or something. But it is going to be much higher in the Chinese production because they have 40% of the orders are cancelled. And it is one of the important point I just wanted to say, that the recovery of the economic condition of those countries where there are a lot of manufacturing technologies going on, it is depends on the self-reliance of the various countries now. This pandemic situation, as rightly pointed out by our keynote speaker, has taught so many lessons for us, particularly in the education sector. Earlier, we never had any opportunity of teaching or listening in the online. I never know about video conferencing, and I never spoke about Zoom or any other thing. But in the last 2 months, we had 100 speakers from foreign countries speaking to our students. 100 speakers, foreign countries, they are just teaching us 2 hours every day. And the total scenario has been changed in the universities. And in the normal circumstances, if we are organizing a conference, we cannot get 40 people or 30 people in the universities, particularly in Northeast region, we don't get. But now, some days we are getting 1,800, 1,900, 2,000 speakers, and every day we are getting number of participants from various parts of the country, even foreign countries, Malaysia and other people are coming. And various online programs, and we are trying to, we are almost, a whole syllabus has been completed in online instruction. And we are already going for examinations also online from the next month onwards. And when we initiated the program with the School of Engineering for next month online examination. Similarly, one by one school after the other, we are going for online examination. You have to remember that one of the important point, that all universities in Europe, all universities in Australia, all universities in America, they cancelled physical classes up to 2021 June. There are no possibilities for conducting classes in any universities in the world in the next 1 year. And don't think that this pandemic situation is going to be going away very easily. And this is one of the important situations that the whole country, whole world has to change the scenario. They have to shift into online programs. And this is the online is the only way now we have to come up in this one. And Mizoram University is going around all this, and next semester also we are planning for online classes in the first semester and other semesters also in the next 6 months. And this is the scenario that COVID has taught us how to come up from this situation, how to go up in this situation. And very importantly, you have to understand that the country has been, exports have been, exports, India exports and imports has only just below 2%. Because India's exports is only 1.7%. Imports is only, as rightly pointed out by our keynote speaker, and imports is only 2%. But the exports of China, exports of America are much higher than any other country in the world. More than 10% they are exports and imports. They are the people suffering now. India is not getting suffered. India's economy is not going down. We are much higher. And what is that we are facing is the migrant labor, because India has got highest number of migrant labor, and they are shifting from different places to different places, and they are becoming loss of employment, and livelihood is going to be affected. And this is one of the point, actually, Government of India is thinking very much that they need to be provided with the self-employment at the particular place where they are living. And now this is a situation that all the universities should also come up, how to make the people at the places of where they are staying, how to make them self-employed, and how to make them technical skills which are actually useful for them to come up in their life. This is what actually, under travel sector, particularly the Northeast region, is highly affected, because before the pandemic situation, Sikkim is one of the states where maximum number of tourists used to come there. And all other Northeast states actually used to have the number of visitors. This is one of the travel sector, related to travel sector, and so many hotels, so many tourist dependent people, all been affected. And many of the exports from India, that is actually that, even though it is very small amount, that is 2% of the world share, like the garments, the textiles and other things, actually the agriculture products, actually they lost so much of export from the country, like 61 to 90% of the total exports were closed. So this is what actually the trade has been stopped and the business has been stopped in India. But India has been already under the progress of self-reliance. And this is one of the very important things you need to understand. Though we have a shortfall of economy, though we have certain situations that India has been suffering, but India is self-reliant already. It is started in that process, and it is now reaching that particular situation that India has become very important, even good in manufacturing technology. Even there are many places, the tests for actually the COVID has been started, and vaccine trials also has been started. Ayurvedic medicines also has been started. They are under clinical trials, and India is going to be self-reliant, no doubt about that. But the only thing is, people, other countries, people, they don't think that India is going to be affected because of a huge population of 150 crores of population they cannot maintain. But still, India, you just see the statistics of the 86 lakhs people who got the COVID affected in the world. The death rate in America is not comparable to India. Indian death rate is only 2.5% of the total COVID population. And many people are getting recovered. So India is not going down. It is going to be stronger in future. And it is going to be, because Indian manpower is highly technical manpower, and it is under the leadership of our Honorable Prime Minister. Definitely it will go to that particular situation. And the take-home message, my feeling is that India is going to be controlling very effectively the pandemic situation, and it will definitely recover, and it will be very strong in economy. And I strongly hope that India will be definitely one of the leaders in the business economy in the coming days. Thank you very much, Bhattendru, for giving me this opportunity, and all the speakers to share my feelings a little extent. It's a common man's experience. Thank you. Namaskar.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thanks a lot for giving very thoughtful speech. The mantra for today seems to be self-reliance. We have to rely on ourselves. We have to start working to be standing on our own feet. That is the mantra from Professor KRS Samasiva Rao, sir, our Vice Chancellor. Thank you, sir, for highlighting contribution of my department in working for this COVID situation. Sir has quoted Dr. Rama Swami, who is coordinator for BVOC course. And the students of BVOC are now preparing face masks and other things. By this way, they are contributing. And Dr. Rama Swami will be having a paper in the second session today. And he also quoted name of Dr. Larding Liana. He is DST incubator in charge for that incubation center. And that incubation center is also doing to help the state fight with COVID. Thank you, sir, for highlighting these two from our department. He highlighted about the change, the new change or the new normal in the field of education, how the things are moving from past. We were not even thinking that it is possible to interact with 800 people, conducting a seminar, 800 people, and everyone in this room only I am sitting with one person. Everyone is sitting alone, but we are 800, nearly 800 people listening to each other. That is again an outcome of COVID only. So we are learning a lot, we are changing a lot along with this, and this will keep on going. Sir is very, very positive about the Indian economy. And he has highlighted that as compared to America, considered to be the best in medical science. Italy, considered to be second in the medical science. If we see our death rates, India is much better. The reason is our immunity system is better. We are self-reliant. So we have to extend it further. These all things the Vice Chancellor has quoted. Thank you, sir, a lot for giving us time, for encouraging us and be here. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Before requesting Dr. Shankar for vote of thanks, I would like to give a brief idea about this program we are having. We are having 7 technical sessions altogether. First 4 technical sessions. Technical session 1 will be chaired by Professor V.K. Shotriya from Delhi University. Technical session 2 will be chaired by Professor G.P. Prasen from Manipur University. Technical session 3 will be chaired by Professor B. Ramesh from Goa University. And technical session 4 is not for paper presentation. There are 2 persons, 2 resource persons in this session. Very important session because we requested 1 person from industry to represent industry side. He is Sri D. Ramakrishna. He is chairman of CII, Confederation of Indian Industries in Andhra Pradesh. And 1 person from academics, Professor Shivaram Prasad. He is Dean Faculty of Commerce in Nagarjuna University. These 4 technical sessions will be held hereafter on this platform. And then we are having a second track, which is going to be held by my friend Dr. Shankar in Sikkim University. A parallel track will be there. And there will be 3 technical sessions, 5, 6, and 7. And 8 papers are there in each of the sessions. So more than 20 papers in their session and nearly 10-15 papers in our session will be there. So this is the program we have identified. Our inaugural session is common for both the tracks. And then after finishing all these, Dr. Shankar will rejoin with all his participants again for our valedictory session. So this is the scheme we are having for today's program. Now I would like to request Dr. Shankar to offer vote of thanks. Dr. Shankar, Dr. Yan Shankar.
So, good morning, Dr. Bhartendra sir. Thank you very much for handing over me the charge. First and foremost, I would like to thank the busy schedule, despite of busy schedule, Vice Chancellor, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Avinash Khare, who motivated me by accepting the proposal of holding the seminar overnight. At around 2:57 a.m., I received his email confirming that I can go ahead with the program. And I also thank Honorable Vice Chancellor of Malawi University, Millennium University, Malawi, Professor P. Subbarao. And then I also thank Professor Samashiva Rao, the Honorable Vice Chancellor of the Mizoram University. So as they have consented and then they have also inspired us to hold the event. I thank, beyond that, I thank our chairpersons, distinguished chairpersons from various sessions, ranging from Professor V.K. Shotriya sir, Professor G.P. Prasen sir, Professor K.R. Professor Ramakrishna sir, Mr. Ramakrishna and Professor B. Ramesh sir. Also, we have other 3 chairpersons there, Professor Jyoti Kumar sir, Assistant Professor Dr. Krishna Murari sir, Professor S.S. Mahapatra sir, the head of the department of our Commerce department in Sikkim University. I also, beyond that, I thank all the technical coordinators, including my colleagues, Mr. B. Muthupandian, and who have taken initiative to coordinate all the parallel sessions to hold at least 30 presentations within an hour. So they have contributed a lot towards our venture to hold the webinar. Finally, I thank all the participants and the paper presenters who have taken keen interest to make it a grand success. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, Dr. Shankar. Now we are towards the end of our inaugural session. In next 5 minutes, we will start first technical session. It's a big, I'm feeling honored to host 3 vice chancellors in a program. Thank you, sir, for joining the program. Thanks a lot, sir. In next 5 minutes, we will be joining technical session 1 in on this platform itself, and technical session 5, 6, and 7 on. They have already received the links. So thank you all, and we'll meet in next 5 minutes again. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Bhupendra sir. Excellent. Inauguration session is very, very excellent, sir.
How to unmute? No, that one is not working. This one unmute. Okay, they can do only. Better we start our first technical session with Professor P.K. Shotria, sir. Sir, please turn on your video and audio. One person has sent on email. So email is possible to download here.
Professor Singh, sir. అయింది సార్ ఇక్కడ పెట్టా ఓకే ఓకే
Professor Shotria, sir.
Yes,
Uh,
yes, I'm here.
Sir.
okay, okay, sir. So your video is on. Yes, yes, you are
Yeah.
coming. Okay, thank you, sir, for joining. Should we start, sir?
If everybody is ready, yes, why not?
Sir, good morning, good afternoon to all the participants. Professor V.K. Shotria needs no introduction actually. We know him. We always find him in a smiley face, always ready to help, whether it is academic or non-academic or personal use, whatever. Anytime he is ready to help with positive gesture always. Thank you, sir, for offering all the suggestions for all other purposes previously what you have done. And I hope our association will continue for very long. A very small thing I would like to tell about him. He started his career from Bhutan, a college in Bhutan in 1993 and continued till 2002. In 2002, he joined NEHU, Northeastern Hill University, and he continued till 2015. And in 2015, he has joined Delhi University and he is continuing there as professor. Uh, he is, as I told already, he is very humble, very supportive, and his memory, I should say, is very strong. I remember one thing about him. I met him in one Commerce Association seminar in Indore. Dr. Kabra, my friend, introduced me to him first time. I was an assistant professor that time, and he was a senior teacher already in NEHU. After that, after 1 year gap, in next Commerce Association meeting in Banaras, after a gap of 1 year, we met again. And he was the person, Professor Shotria was the person who recognized me. He called me with name. I was an assistant professor that time. And very new person, very young. I'm talking about some 15 years back. He identified me by face. He called me by my name and he interacted with me. I was actually much surprised that a person of his gesture is able to recognize me. Thank you, sir, for all. Now I would like to request him to give a keynote address. Meanwhile, all the participants, if they want to post any question, please put it in question and answer Q&A section. After his address, I will be posting these questions to him. So, sir, the time is yours now.
Oh, great. Good afternoon, Bhartendu ji, and all other people who are attending this session. Thanks a lot for kind words. I don't know to what extent I deserve them, but on my part, I'm really humbled by listening to his kind words about me. You know, only people with great heart would recognize others, and that is how I think Bhartendu ji remembers me. So thank you very much for these kind words. When in the last meeting, one of our board meetings, when he was talking about this conference, he was saying that I would like if you people can also join and participate. After that, when we were conversing, I said, yeah, I'll be very happy to be part of this great organization, this great initiative by Mizoram University in collaboration with the Sikkim University. Because, when an invitation of this kind comes from your own home, you have no option but to accept it. And I consider the whole of Northeast as my home. Because having spent around half of my career till now in this area, half of my, not my career, half of my life rather, in these areas, in fact, I'm really, really happy, and I owe it to my
Okay. Hello. I think there is some technical problem in the link. He is trying to link. Just wait for some time and he will be able to rejoin us. Should I call him?
Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. I don't know why it got disconnected.
Uh,
I don't know. Anyway, I think so. Let me continue. So what I was telling that when he asked that what am I going to talk about, that time I told him that when I thought it over, and then I thought maybe let me put my views, my personal thinking on some of the aspects of how we should be responding in the times to follow, especially post-COVID era. And that is how I gave this topic called Organizations and Strategies Post-COVID-19 Era Management. And with this broader premise in mind, I would like to discuss my thinking with all of you and suggest some measures for organizations, states, and the government, which can help uh, having a sustainable progress in the times to follow. The reason is because till now what we have seen, we are witnessing some of the worst times. From my birth till now, I have not seen the time that is prevalent today. And for that matter, even the people who were there in your inaugural session or all the participants, to whatever age group you belong to, I don't think that you have seen such a time or you have witnessed such a difficult time that we have seen in last 3 odd months. And this, I consider maybe is some of it is the result of our individual karmas together, or the way we have dealt with the people, the resources, natural resources, or conditions. And maybe I think this is something that we have got a challenge to respond to. So if you look at COVID era, why it has happened, and you have seen a huge number of people going back to their villages from the urban centers, from the the big cities. They are migrating to their roots, their villages. They came in search of better pastures. They established themselves, or not, if not established, at least they uprooted themselves from the villages and moved to the urban centers, to the mahanagars of this great country. And suddenly, when they saw this happening, they remembered their home, their villages, and they started going back. Their plight and what has gone into their cognition through the experiences of this calamity, I don't think I can ever gauge it, or I can ever be able to imagine it. Because as we all say, only the wearer knows where the shoe pinches. and so many of them have lost their lives as well. Now try to find out why such things are happening, or why are we, why are our lives so much affected by such natural calamities, if you call it. Of course, there is a school which is emerging, which is talking about this coronavirus being man-made. So I'm not going to go into that debate. But I find the major reason of its outbreak, especially not exactly the virus per se, but its effect on the lives of people, is because we have left everything to the market forces. We left control to market forces, and we thought that if we leave it to market forces, let markets determine how things are going to shape in future, how business organizations are going to be, what is sustainable, what is not sustainable. Let educational institutions respond to them accordingly. And that is, I think, the a flaw in our policy which has been. And I will try to tell about it, that how it has happened and how can we improve the conditions in the times to follow, if we really care about human lives. If in our concern it is that we need people who need to be focused in the policies. So the whole domain of industry, whole domain of business organizations is responding to, or is succumbing to, enjoy better power. And it is all about power structure. And that power structure which has moved from muscle to money. The more you earn, the more you have, the more you acquire, the better you become. And which is basically responding to the call that organizations and individuals are controlling resources, where there is a lot of control by individuals, by corporate houses, or for that matter, by the government, controlling all resources. And that's that resource control, which should ideally be with people. And we talk about democratic systems where we say that the governments are elected by the people. So indirectly, it is the people who are controlling the resources, but that is not the fact. And that is where I think somewhere we have gone wrong. And these agencies, which we call it as state apparatus of the government, where you have two kinds of agencies. One where government controls things, where government tries to put efforts to govern the nation, govern the state, govern the lives of people, or try to reach to the advantage of people, try to provide them education, try to look at their health systems, try to provide them the basic infrastructures, try to fulfill their basic needs. Okay, whether it is related to sanitation, it is related to transportation, or all kind of ancillary activities. So these are internal government agencies where these agencies were involved. On the other, government said, yeah, I think there is a need, because we cannot keep on fulfilling the demands of people. Let there be business organizations which take care of a production function, and they produce for the needs of people in the country. So business organizations came into being. And business organizations, when business organizations came, those business organizations were more concentrating on their kind of sustainability. And their kind, what do I mean by saying their kind of sustainability? Their kind of sustainability is focusing on profit, focusing on return, focusing on better revenue, more revenue. Okay, and that is how these private organizations focused on. And especially when we look at government organizations looked at the welfare of people, or to provide the basic amenities, and to make sure that you know, the business organizations do not exploit the customer. And in that domain, business organizations' role became very, very important. So ideally, if you look at any country system, we say there is a socialist thinking, there is a capitalist thinking. And the capitalist thinking, which more talks about concentration of resources in the hands of what you call, you know, in the hands of corporates, in the hands of wealthy people, or in the capitalist structure or capitalist system, we more concentrate on economic growth. We talk about you know, focusing on GDP, so that at least all at least there is a lot of production, and when there is a lot of production, naturally GDP rises, and when GDP rises, governments say, yeah, I think we are developed. But you know, the focus on GDP results in broadening the gap between rich and the poor. And that is where the whole premise of capitalism is questioned. Even in the recent writings of Piketty and other authors who have been writing in the last few decades, we find a lot of writings are coming on increase in inequalities. But so it means what? If capitalism is focusing on or resulting in some kind of increase in the gap between rich and the poor, it means it's not a system which can really sustain long. Okay, so what can happen? You know, then the poor will get more poorer and the rich will get richer, and then you will have a sizable amount which will be an exploited class. And in that area, we need to look for alternatives. We need to see what best can happen, what best system we can follow, which can you know, sustain for long, which can assure that at least this gap does not broaden. And that is where we need to look back and say what is the role of business organizations. Of course, when we look at Indian economy, we have seen the growth in last 30 odd years, huge growth, huge economic growth. In last 30 years, ever since we opened our economy in 1991, we have seen emergence of new kind of organizations, new kind of strategies have come in force. And we have seen the organizational life getting reduced. If 30 years back, when we were studying organizations, we were looking at organization sustainability, we found that the average age of organization was 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, it was more. But now we see in top 10 most valuable companies of the world, we find most of those companies have came into existence in last 30 years. And that is how things are happening. And maybe in the times to follow, you will find further that this will happen, and we will move towards the valuation models. Okay. Anyway, so this capitalist thinking, which focused on concentration of wealth in the hands of few, is a flawed approach, and flawed in the sense where you do not have distribution of wealth, proper distribution of wealth. But if within this, if you have a component which can take care of removing inequality, we can look for such kind of alternatives. Now, another system which was there in function, or especially when we got independence in 1947, when planning started in India, we started following a mixed structure. So we had socialist approach. So socialist approach was where government was taking care of many things. And from that time till 1991, we followed that up. Okay, and great institutions came into being. Okay, and in socialist structure, you have ownership of resources by community. And this is very much prevalent in some parts of the northeast of India. Okay, you have a focus on social development across classes. You have more focus on distribution of wealth, and you more vouch for or voice for equality, uh, spreading equality, so that at least the wealth gets distributed. So we need that kind of organizations. So we had an era which was before COVID era. We say it is BC. BC is before COVID, and we are moving to after COVID. We say AC. AC is after COVID era. So how we can move from the learning of the past to the future? And that is where I propose that we need to move away from socialism and capitalism to something called creating conditions for humanism. And when we talk about humanism, I talk about human development. I talk about when we need to focus more on developing entitlements of people, empowering people to take decisions, investing more on health infrastructure. That is the calamity in the present times that we are seeing. Investing more on health, on education parameters, or on education infrastructure, so that at least things improve in that. So what is the role of state when I talk about humanism, or the organizations which can concentrate, okay, on the products and processes related to people more? Okay, so the role of state is that you devise your policies in such a way that they focus more on human development rather than economic development, rather than economic growth. And you see, I personally, I'm not against economic development. I shouldn't be sounding as if I'm against economic development. It is only the approach is different. Okay, so I say that if you concentrate on human development, it will automatically lead to economic development. But when we keep on concentrating on economic development, it has not resulted in better human development. And that is what we have, what statistics tell us. Okay, and that is what has happened in last 30 years, ever since we, ever since this data on human development started coming. How we have grown as India. Okay, and that I find is somewhere where this has been a casualty, because this has not been the focus area. Okay, so that is what is important. Now, what is the role of market? I'm not saying at any point that we don't need market. We need market. But then what should be the focus of the market? What we need to do in the market? You know, the market function, you all have studied the laws of demand and supply. So I was reading some of the modern economists last few days. What they're saying, we need to push demand. We need to keep on pushing demand. You create demand, and you create some kind of demand which even people do not know that they really need such product. You go and tell them that you require these. I think that is something which is very, very faulty. What is required is that what people need, you produce that. Okay, so instead of pushing demand, you need to make sure that you supply what is needed by them. So you cannot have more focus on demand. The more you focus on demand, what will happen? Organizations will keep on focusing more on profit and more on creating more products and services in aspirational market. And this aspirational market is something which increases our aspirations, and we keep asking for more and more and more and more. I get reminded of, on a lighter note, that advertisement of Pepsi, which was that ye dil mange more, and your dil never gets satisfaction. So you never get that kind of satisfaction. So you always keep asking for more. And in that domain, what happens? Your demand keeps on increasing in such a way that pushes all the organizations to come to your house, or even organizations keep coming to you and they tell you that this is something what is required by you. And you did not know that this is something which you really require. I get reminded of a writing, very classic writing by Marx. Marx wrote, and Marx said that, you know, you are leading a very good life. You are leading a wonderful life. Okay, and your family is satisfied. Everybody is happy in the family. But the next day, when you see a multi-story building just adjacent to your building, then you start feeling small. It is not because of you yourself. It is because you are influenced by neighbor. And I think that is something which needs to change. One has to look at oneself. We keep on telling our children, you see, वो शर्मा जी का बच्चा क्या कर रहा है? We keep on pushing that to our children. Okay, and that is where I think we are committing a mistake. What is required then? We need to look at the competency of its child, competency of the system, competency of the organizations, and produce accordingly. Okay, and that is where I think that is the role of market. When we say role of state, state's role should be to focus on human development rather than economic development, and let human development take care of economic development. And role of market should be means instead of pushing demand, push supply. And that is what has happened. In fact, in the morning session, the Vice Chancellor of Mizoram University was talking about that. You know, what has happened in the last 3 months? And this is something which I think we need to appreciate the government here. That we did not have any industry which was producing PPE kit. And today we have more than 200 firms in India which are producing, because there is a demand existing and you are producing according to demand. Okay, you are not producing in order to create demand. The moment you start creating demand, your focus becomes more on marketing everything. You know, so you want to sell comb to me. If I'm a bald person, you tell me how comb can help me. Okay, and that I think is a very, very faulty approach. And that is something which, especially look at our own scriptures, Indian scriptures, and what they are talking about. Okay, so I won't go in detail of that. So, role of market. Then, when we look at business organizations, organizations need to focus on purpose than profit. You know, the great organizations which are today, which have left. Bhartenduji, how much time I have more? Maybe 10 minutes? 5-10 minutes?
Sir, we are very much interested to listen you.
Okay, fine. Okay, fine. That is great. Okay, so if we look at the great organizations, these great organizations which have stood the test of time of last 100 years or even 150 years, these organizations of the world I'm talking about, these organizations are not those organizations which have concentrated on profit. These are the organizations which have concentrated on purpose. So if organizations concentrate on purpose rather than profit, one can really survive better. I give you an example of an organization called 3M. You have this great company called 3M. 3M is not the most profitable company. 3M is a corporation which is going to stay for 500 more years. When Bill Hewlett was asked, that Bill Hewlett who founded HP, okay, Hewlett and Dave Packard, both of them, when they founded HP, when Bill Hewlett was asked that which organization do you think is going to survive long and which is going to be most sustainable organization in your thinking, and Pat came the reply, and the reply was, it is going to be 3M, because 3M is a highly innovative organization which is creating products for people and innovating products, and their focus is not on profit. I'm not really talking about just one organization. You had an organization, I mean, you read about the story of Tony C. Tony C has written this book called Delivering Happiness with the company called Zappos.com. He started, this was the first company of online shoe seller. Okay, and in this whole book, Delivering Happiness, he's talking about shifting the focus from profit to purpose. If you are a purpose-driven company, you can survive long. So in purpose-driven company, your focus should not be on the profit, but it should be on purpose. And that is what I think should be part of the strategies for the companies. Next, your focus should not be product or process. It should be people. You need to move away from process and product to people, because it is the people who are going to use the product or service, whatever it is. Okay, so you can devise a process through which you can reach to people best. Okay, but if you are devising a process in isolation of people, you are not going to survive long. Okay, and I tell you, in post-COVID era, only those organizations will survive which have concentration on people aspirations, on people demands, on what people are asking for, and what really people are looking for, whether it is from the HR side or it is from the finance side. What really people look for? People look for money, people look for salary, or people look for better working conditions. And that is where I think the organizations have to devise policies and strategies to respond. And that is a greater challenge. And that is going to be a greater challenge in the times to follow in the given conditions. So such organizations are going to survive long. And their strategies have to be according to that. Now, you know, when our focus is on business, business does not take care of society. If all the businesses were taking care of society, the conditions which were created during this COVID era would not have resulted the way they have resulted. What happens, you know? Society responds to business. So society is primary. It is not the business which is primary. And in the race of earning more, what we did, we have moved away from fulfilling social, social aspirations of people or fulfilling the needs of society. What we did, we more concentrated on concentration of wealth or surrender to market forces. And when we surrender to market forces, society becomes secondary, business becomes primary. And when business becomes primary, society loses, okay? And that is why from companies, people leave and go. There are companies during last 2 months, they have announced incentives to some of their employees. How many companies can do that? And only those companies can do this which have a strong investment on people. Because people, if you can buy people's loyalty, people will never leave. You know, today, when we look at the Fayol's principles of management, 14 principles of management, there is one principle of Fayol which talks about commitment, which talks about obligation. So that was the time, that was 100 years back, Fayol's principles came into being in 1915 around sometime, okay? That came in French at that time, and in 40s it was translated in English and reached to masses, okay? He was talking about, because at that time, it was organizations were mobilizing people by giving employment. Today, employees are mobilizing organizations by working there, especially the talented employees. And that is the reason why in organizations, in organization management, a new thinking has come up where we are talking about talent management. We need to manage talent in organizations. And that is, I think, in the times to follow is going to be, again, another challenge for organizations. So you need to retain better people, okay? Because these are going to be required in all kinds of organizations. So your investment on people has to be primary. So when we talk about a broader structure, we say business is not primary, society is primary. So our focus has to be on society. So society takes care of business. What is required by society, business produces. Business provides, and business functions as a subservient to society, to people of the country. And that is how we need to respond to it. Many of you might have heard of Noam Chomsky. Noam Chomsky has been one of the great critiques of Trump's government at present in the United States. This great philosopher, linguist, and thinker of America talks about failure of liberal capitalism. He says, America talks about capitalism and it is one of the superpower in the world, but does not have 1 lakh ventilators. And we have seen what has happened in US. Okay, so if government has not been able to prioritize health of people, then what capitalism is all about? Where the concentration has been on people, and that is, I think, is a casualty where people need to look for. In last 20 years, what has happened? You know, over emphasis on technology. Of course, when I talk about market, the forces in the market, when we surrender to market forces, in market, everything, all the companies which are in top companies, most of them are technology companies. So what technology is doing? When we were studying in our schools, we used to, listen, our teachers used to tell us, science is a good servant, but a bad master. Okay? और हम लोगों के यहाँ एक निबंध लिखने के लिए आता था कि विज्ञान जो है और विज्ञान या टेक्नोलॉजी, ओके, ये वरदान है या अभिशाप है. From that premise, if I think technology, if we are surrendering to market forces, if we are surrendering to technology, technology is determining what am I going to do. And I tell you, in last 20 years, what has happened? A company like Facebook, company like Twitter, company like Google, these are some of the great companies of the world. And these companies are generating a lot of data out of, when I'm talking to you, I'm using the Zoom platform, and Zoom is selling data. Zoom is selling data in the market. Okay, so every second, every millisecond that I talk, it is generating data. It is a data resource, and that gets converted into revenue for them. So there are authors, there are people who are talking about surveillance capitalism in this present times. And this surveillance capitalism is where data is sold and there is no law which can prohibit it. And maybe in the times to follow, it is going to happen. And you know, this technology disruption has affected lives of people in such a way that what I am going to think, Google is going to tell me that this is how I'm going to think. Okay, so it knows me better than me myself. And that is, in that way, they create data and they push. And similar kind of product and services they are pushing. So they are going to tell me what kind of products I require. Okay, I may not really need them, but they will tell you, no, this is very good because they have tracked my purchasing power. Or they know that I have money in my bank account. I have my spending habit is like this, so I can spend more. And so it means what? We surrender to market forces, we surrender to technology. So we are vulnerable. We are become subjects in the hands of technology companies. Yuval Harari was talking about it. Yuval Harari was talking in the World Economic Forum in February, and he said that the equation of the 21st century is going to be B multiplied by C multiplied by D is equal to AHH. What is that? He says B stands for biological knowledge, my biology, who am I, what is my medical structure, what kind of habits I have, and all those things. C stands for computing power. Okay, so you compute. D stands for data. So B multiplied by C multiplied by D is equal to AHA is what? Sounds good. Okay, AHA is ability to hack human. Okay, so they are going to hack humans. So there will be a server which will be stationed in one corner of the world, and this server will control everything. You know, in the earlier days, what was happening? Whichever country had better muscle, okay, was a dominating country. Then came the time when we said whichever country has more money is going to dominate. Okay, so it enjoys more power. Okay, and I tell you, in the times to follow, whichever country controls data, controls resources, will dominate. And in that, if we are responding to that, if we don't change the way we have been functioning, I think there will be worse times in the times to follow. And we need to look at what can happen and how we need to look for alternatives. So now I come to give some kind of suggestion or strategies, what kind of organizations to develop and what should be the focus. So focus should be, we need to evolve humanism as an alternative to capitalism and socialism. Humanism should be the order of the day in the times to follow. Human organizations, there should be human organizations. Human organizations does not mean that there should be only people in organization, nothing else. Human organizations means organizations should focus on people. The focus should be on humans. In the morning session, people were talking about self-reliance. What is this self-reliance all about? Self-reliance is that I should be able to do, I should be having resources to control things about me. Okay, so I should be self-reliant. I shouldn't be depending on all kind of people. Okay, so I can depend if I have resources. So I get into some kind of barter. I have money, I pay for what I require, and I get that in the market, from the market. Okay, and that is how I develop. That's fair. Okay, state or the governments need huge investments, especially in this geography, on education and health. So there is a need to invest hugely on education framework and health framework. Okay, if we leave it in the private hands, I tell you, things are not going to improve for the longer duration. Okay, then third thing, we need to invest hugely on developing inner engineering as against outer engineering. We develop skills, we create great people. Okay, people are so much into studies that they prepare themselves for their career. They say, okay, I will get this kind of job, that kind of job, and they're so much specific about job that they forget about their life. And they get what they want, and then suddenly they realize when they are pursuing in what they are they wanted always. Okay, when they start enjoying it, they said, this is not good. And they are not able to deal with their inner self. They're not able to deal with the conditions which have been created around them. So education failed in not preparing them to face the uncertainties of life. And that is how you find Sushant Rajput's, what happened with Sushant Rajput, that happens. People get into committing suicide. Okay, why people commit suicide? Because they are not able to deal with themselves. Why they are not able to deal with themselves? Because education has not taught them how to deal with themselves. In uncertain times, this is the purpose of education. Purpose of education is not to give you job or to make you market ready. कि मार्केट में एक आदमी की जरूरत है जो 24 घंटे काम करे, और हमने अपनी कंपनी में, अपने यूनिवर्सिटी में, अपने कॉलेज में ऐसा एक आदमी बना दिया रोबोट की तरह से जो जाके कंपनी में काम करे. No, this is not the purpose of education. This has never been the purpose of education. If anybody thinks that this is the purpose of education, I don't subscribe to that. I feel the very purpose of education is to create a better human being, to prepare the person to respond to all kind of uncertainties, so that the best in the person comes out when you deal with uncertainty. Okay, in comfort zone, everybody stays in comfort zones. Okay, so that is something where investment is required. You need to develop inner engineering, then the outer engineering. We find, yeah, maybe just 5 to 3 minutes.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Yes, I'm just coming to end. Okay, so that is something which requires more focus. In fact, you gave me little leeway. That is how I proceeded. Okay.
Okay.
Anyway, I'm just coming to. So what is required further is we need to get into backward integration. What is this backward integration? We need to go back to villages. Okay. I was writing somewhere, we need to have small industries, village industries. Industries concentration should be in the far-flung areas so that overall development takes place, not concentrated in some big cities. Okay, develop infrastructure. What has happened in the villages in the last 70 odd years? In some of the villages, I tell you, where I have been visiting, conditions have gone back to worst. In their school, if earlier there were 3 teachers, today there is only 1 teacher. Okay, if you start earning a little bit more in the village, you shift to a town area or you shift to an urban area just for the cause of better education for your children. Why have we failed in providing better education in the villages? So we need to look back to the villages. Okay, develop villages in a better way so that our people who are coming from them, from these areas, they are better equipped to face the world. Okay, so we need to move away from another thing, that is corporatization. Concentration of corporatization is not good for a country, okay, like India, where we have still around 30% of population which does not have a square meal, and that is, I think, which is very, very important. Okay, so if we want to have exposure on technology, technology should facilitate our lives. Okay, we should not facilitate technology in such a way that we succumb and surrender in front of technology, and what technology wants, we start behaving like that. I think that is something which needs. So I come to the last slide, last slide, in the sense of what I'm not using anything of that kind. Last slide means last word, and that last word is, in Italy, when things were going worst, in all the houses, people were having a flag, and in the balconies they were flashing that flag, and they were saying, "Andre tutto bene, Andre tutto bene." Andre tutto bene in Italian means everything will be fine. And if you believe that everything is going to be fine, I think you need to create organizations of the kind that I have been talking about. You have to create systems of the kind that I have been talking about. And I think this way we can have better organizations, better systems, better society, and better country. Thank you very much for giving me this wonderful opportunity to share some of my personal thinking on the whole happening of COVID-19. Thank you, Bhartendu ji.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for your.
Bhartendra garu, excellent presentation, sir. It was so wonderful, sir. So wonderful.
We got some good questions for you, but because time is short, I would like to skip, if you permit, sir.
नहीं, ले लीजिए, 2-4 क्वेश्चन ले लीजिए, कोई बात नहीं है.
Sir, time, next presentation only 5 minutes and 3 presentations are there, sir.
अच्छा, okay, चलिए, कोई बात नहीं.
Okay, sir.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, I took the time of presenters, it means.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh, I'm so sorry. You should have told me that.
No,
Okay, because I wanted that at least people should have some questions and I should be able to respond to their queries. If you want, maybe towards the end, I can handle these questions.
Oh, okay, sir.
As you wish, I will be here.
Thank you, sir. Not at all.
Sir, we can send questions to you and you can answer it and we can distribute. We can share.
No problem. As you wish. I'm at your disposal. No problem.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right.
Now I would like to request first presenter, Dr. AVS Ashok. He is
Sir.
Associate Professor in Department of Management Sciences. He will make his presentation now. It's okay, sir. It's your time now.
Sir, thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Am I audible, sir?
Yes. You are audible. You are sharing your screen. Sir,
Yes,
please,
sir.
Please do it very fast, sir. 2-3 minutes only. We are having-
Yeah.
Okay, sir.
Sir, good morning, everybody, sir.
Sir.
So, I'll continue, sir, along with the sharing.
Okay.
So, I thank the organizers for giving me this chance, and I thank Professor Avinash sir, Professor Rao sir of Mizoram University, Professor Rao of Malawi University, and Professor Stotriya sir are the chairman of this technical session. And I just going to speak on the education sector, sir. And the government already we have heard from Avinash Kare sir that 20.89 lakhs have been given as the Atmanirbhar Bharat this thing by by Dr. Nirmala Sitharaman, the Honorable Minister. And I just wanted to quote from Bimal Jalan sir, the former Reserve Bank of India governor. So what he said that this is going to help to decline, to help to contain the decline of the growth. This will help to contain the decline of the growth. And it is on the supply side. Actually, the slide, if it is visible, it is on the supply side, and the economy is going to grow. Though it is going to be negative this year, it's going to be on the positive side later in October 21. That is what Bimal Jalan sir had to say. And the next slide is about another eminent Dr. Duviri Subbarao. So he said there's going to be 5% decline in this fiscal, 21 fiscal. And 21-22 fiscal, there's going to be growth, no doubt about it. And this has been voiced by an economist from JP Morgan also. And he also is of the same thing. This is on the economy side, sir. And I just wanted to concentrate on the, just touch about the economy for 1 minute and then move forward. So we have seen 122 million jobs have been lost since, we have lost nearly 122 million jobs in the month of March and April, according to CMIE, and the various sectors. And there was only one sector, as Professor Stotriya sir has said, we have to go back to far-flung and go back to the villages. And only that graph is there up, if you see in the CMIE, this thing. Agriculture improved by 5% in April and May because there was containment zones in the urban areas. People started moving there. And this is the scene which we are going to expect in the education sector in future. Already we have done masks and we are waiting for the students who come with masks. And what is happening in the academic sector, education sector, I just want to highlight about that, sir. There is sluggish cross-border movement of students. So Subbarao sir is sitting in Malawi and we are sitting here in Northeast and we are sitting in Guntur, all of this. So there is no movement, only online movement is going to be there. And and many of them who have taken the admissions for fall for this year, they have all deferred for 21 and 22. That is what most of the universities have to say. Whether it's Australia, UK, New Zealand, Canada, all these people where they have 50% of our students are going there. Most of them have deferred because they don't want to have online classes. That is why. So at the end of the day today, we have to discuss whether online, because Mizoram, we are proud to hear that Mizoram University has been online since March 18th, till date, till today. So this is the passive learning. I'm just going browse through the headlines. The passive learning by the students, is this going to, I mean, appeal to the students or not? And most of the teachers, so it took us at least two weeks orientation to take classes using an app, Zoom app, Codetantra app, or Google Meet, WebEx, etc. So we are unprepared for the online teaching. And this sir has said about recruitment pattern will not touch opportunities. So there is a rise in blended learning. IIT Bombay and all, they're giving classes on NPTEL, SWAYAM and all that, how to implement blended learning. Use a mix of both online and offline. That has been there for a couple of years and that has come to stay now. Offline is going to the backstage and online presentation of classes is going to come forward. Learning management systems. So the new learning LMS modules are coming and
sir, we are running out of time, sir.
Yes, sir. Going ahead, sir. So LMS is the way of learning, that is shift to e-learning. So all of us have shifted, 100% we have shifted to e-learning. And but we all still prefer this, sir. Classroom learning, the teachers as well as the students, they prefer 70%, they prefer classroom environment is the best for learning. So we have various benefits of e-learning. This is what we are going to see when the recruitment is going to start. I'm sorry, when the admission session is going to start sometime in June, July. If that is going to happen, people will come with masks and sanitizers, and this is what we are going to look forward. But now what is prevalent is online virtual classes are going on, and everyone, we are going on with the online virtual classes. And this is a safe mode, 100% online. This is admission is going to be online, classes are going to be online, especially for this semester. And what the students have to get prepared for that. And this is yesterday's quote. I just wanted to put 91 parent. This is my penultimate slide, sir. Kindly. 91% of the parents in the NCR, capital region, Uttar Pradesh, North Uttar Pradesh, and all that, a survey done by Mr. Umza, Professor Umza Naz. He has 10,000 respondents. They have given that please postpone the academic year. I don't know how far that is valid or. And this is the last slide, sir. It points to provide a personalized learning experience and provide a repository of mock tests and all that. This is what we have been doing. And with this, I'll conclude, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, Professor Singh, sir. Thank you, Professor Stotriya, sir, for giving me this opportunity. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. We are running short of time, so I will not take up question. I will ask the questions over email later on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
And now I would like to request Dr. Shivankar Chakravarti, Associate Professor from West Bengal. So please unmute yourself and.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Definitely, sir. Sorry.
Dr. Shivankar. Dr. Shivankar. Sir, time is very short, 2 minutes, 3 minutes only. So if possible, you can speak only without slides. Sir, you are not audible, sir. Sir, you are not audible. Problem here. Huh? Is already unmuted. Sir, you are not audible. Excuse me, sir, you are not audible. You are not audible, sir. Your voice is not coming. Your voice is not coming, sir. Hello. Yeah, start again, sir. I think some problem is there. His voice is not coming. Some technical issue is there. So instead of, sir, so we'll take the third presenter first, and after finishing him, we'll come back to you. Meanwhile, you are having, I think, some problem with audio. We are unable to listen to you. So we'll go to the third one, and then if time permits, we'll come back to the second author. I request Dr. Anjaneya Sharma. Dr. Anjaneya Sharma.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes,
very
sir.
good afternoon. Yeah, I will be sharing my slides, sir, and very quickly I will browse through.
Okay, sir. It is very short time. Only 2-3 minutes are there. So be very fast.
Oh, very fast I will do it, sir.
Thank
now, very good afternoon, sir. Respected Bharatendu, sir, Professor P. Subbarao Garu, Professor Anish Khare, Professor K. Samsarao Garu, Jyoti Kumar, sir, for providing the opportunity, and Professor Sivaram Prasad, sir, my senior academic colleague, guide, Professor B.K. Suryaprakash Rao garu and all participants. I'm thankful for the opportunity. My topic today is impact of HR strategies on IT employees in the post-COVID era, a study of select IT firms in Hyderabad. I have taken 5 different IT firms, and in the VOCA environment, a lot of transformation is taking place. Employees are usually stressful, so role of HR managers is very crucial. So HR strategies need to be redefined and implemented effectively. So there are 3 major challenges. Basically, HRs are facing: respond to the current pandemic situation, recover, learning, and emerge stronger, and reshape, thrive. So take the new normal into stride and really work forward. Then, in addition, dealing with more matured employees, because the upskilling is a lot of upskilling is going on. So matured employees will be into the system. So dealing with them is very important. Rise of female employees will be there. So therefore, dealing with diversity management is also a very important challenge. So challenge to the old HR practices will be actually orthodoxies will be removed, and more of technology into HR will be creeping in. Now I'll be dealing with the one of the HR strategies, that is work from home. So this particular pandemic has forced the work from home, during this era. So there are other strategies like recover, reflect, recommit, re-engage, rethink, reboot, or restart. So this is what we have to do. So then scenario planning. So the timeline is 12 to 24 months. Actually, this particular research has been done by Professor B.K. Suryaprakash Rao garu and me. So they discover new realities, reposition HR. Then, since lot of layoffs are happening, this strategy is really an auto correlated one. Therefore, this I have not taken. Only work from home I have taken for the present. This thing, it's an ongoing study. These are the various dimensions I have examined. And background, normally there is shift of work culture. New HR strategies are required to combat this situation. This is the literature, briefly what so many researchers have done. Glenn in 2050, he talked about career passport. So there is greater level of job satisfaction basically people are looking at. So here I am basically looking at what is the impact of this particular pandemic on the job satisfaction of employees. Usually there is a sudden shift that has come as a shock to employees. So employees have to shift to the new normal, that is online way of functioning. So therefore what is happening is organizations want to know that what is whether this current strategy, how it is impacting employees, because directly they may not be able to say it. So, but we also have a lot of interest to do it. So HR strategies satisfy their employees. So it's a backbone for any HR function. Therefore, in the COVID era, this particular thing is very important. Then significance of study, assess the impact of new work from home on IT employees in select firms in Hyderabad in post-COVID era. Now, these are the objectives of the study: is examine the factors influencing satisfaction of respondents, and then assess the impact of current HR studies, provide inputs for betterment. So this is the research question which I have done. Now, methodology, I have taken a sample of 321. So I have added some more. There are about 41 items. Likert scale I have used. And I've used SPSS 20.0, factor analysis, multiple regression. The things I have taken. These are the statistical tools I have used. These are my findings.
Dr. Sharma, we are
yes, sir.
very behind the time. If you go, if you share the slides with me, I will share with the participants. They will be coming to know all the things.
Next one minute, I will conclude, sir.
Okay, sir. We are already taken second session. We have already taken some time from you.
Yes. Within one minute, I will conclude, sir. It is over now.
Okay, sir.
Now, reliability is very good. So the 2 factors, age and income, are significant. So, and the factor analysis showed about 12 factors that were significant. The KMO Bartlett 0.834 has come. And this is the factor analysis, about 12 factors that have come. These are the various factors, out of which 5 have been really been very significant, very prominent. So yoga and meditation, reading scriptures, compassion towards others, animals and pets. People have come in a big way to actually the change of activities also have taken to de-stress themselves. So this is what is the regression equation. And this is the the suggestion. So this is how disaster management control unit has to be set up. Redesign the entire HR function. So brand HR employment, rework on new software and many others, and work design, redesign, restructure, rebuild. And the last but not least, the employees basically manage employee sentiment is very important. Continuous communication, relationship is very important, and praising for good work, a balanced approach is very much important. So in conclusion, so what I have seen is WFH has come as a big way, is an impact on IT employees enormously. And these are the business implications. These are some limitations. The further research is an ongoing research I am doing. So it's a sector-wise analysis. Basically, I am now focusing on in the next one. So thank you so much, sir, for the opportunity. And any questions are there, I will be very happy to answer. Maybe if you can send me through mail. Sir, you are not audible.
Yes. Thank you, sir, for
Thank you.
presentation. If you share the slides with me, I will circulate it among.
Sure, sure. Very much. Very much.
I should say sorry to Dr. Shivamkar. We are not having time to come back to him. If he shares his slides, we'll be able to circulate it among all participants for our benefit. And with this, I will say thanks to Professor V.K. Shotria, Dr. A.V.S. Ashok, Dr. Shivamkar Chakravarti, and Dr. Anjaneya Sharma for sparing their time and sharing their views with all the participants.